Hello again. Happy new moon. It's December 14th, 2020, and there's just so much to share and express. Like, really, there's been so much that I've wanted to share all month, really. I've felt like inspired every single day to show up and share something because so much has been coming through and forth and playing in and out and through. And like just the amazing like gifts of vision and dreams and clarity and coming out of a fog, of confusion, and like all that's being cleared and cleansed and transformed and transmuted through like letting go and making space and making room for the new to be birthed through. And yeah, this is just the perfect new moon to like share a little more and allow it to come through and allow the wisdom to emerge and allow like that divine teacher to come through and reveal and guide and help us navigate through these new times of change and transition and awakening and letting go and dying to the old, or releasing that which we don't need to carry anymore, or what no longer serves us, or what hinders us or weighs us down from becoming who we really are. And so, yeah, there's just so much potency today and in this month and in this year. And it's just magical and freaking amazing, really. And there's just so much every day that comes through and into awareness. And it's just showing me how like I get to show up and be true to me and what's being asked of me and what's being presented to me, what's being offered, what is asking for inclusivity, showing me as well where I can set my boundaries. Boundaries have been tricky for me in a lot of ways. It's always been the push and pull, or the withdraw, withhold, or overdo kind of thing. Like the too much, not enough goes along with that again. And I know a lot of us can relate to those stories and those themes and those things. So I feel like I've received a lot of streams and some new understanding and insights through exploring all of that in my own stories, my personal stories, and through like our collective myths and stories, and dreams and perceptions and visions and images, that are like projected, reflected, and absorbed a lot of the time. And that's like the absorption of it. Sometimes we're not even aware of what we absorb or what we take in, or what we're taking in, or what we're choosing to take in, or what we're choosing to receive, or what we're choosing to send out into the world. Also, like we kind of have a skewed perception or a distortion sometimes, because we do have good intentions, but we do have our blind spots and our own wounds, filters, biases, preferences, prejudices, which is all right. It's totally all right. We're meant to like work with and play through all these things. But sometimes it creates a lot of confusion and a lot of like psychic loops and things, and continuing to ride the wheel of fortune and the wheel of suffering. And it's just like some of the things in line or aligned with what I want to share, what I would love to share and express and confess. So as part of my I've kind of been looking and reflecting on this year, reviewing and seeing that my alchemy series that I was nudged to start in March, which I actually got going in April on a new moon on April 22nd. I kind of had like a clue that it was for, yeah, just an expression to help me express and to help me show up as the student teacher and offer what I have to give and what I have to share, and you know, my own experiences, because it felt like we weren't getting anywhere with our beliefs and our stories, like some certain stories. But I felt like, you know, if we could connect on a heart-to-heart level and share our experiences and like, yeah, the common ground we have with that, and through our relationships that we have and that we're in, that we're playing in, and that we're a part of, maybe, you know, like we will be able to create some kind of clarity or coherence and understanding, and we can work together and cooperate, and maybe make the space for like a new, true, like full, like being at peace and being at one, unity, consciousness, and yeah, all of that that goes along with that. And or just, yeah, allow ourselves and to be able to communicate and penetrate where we haven't been able to get through to ourselves or each other in certain ways. And so, yeah, just looking back at and looking in from within about what my journey has taught me, and showing up, speaking and sharing in my vulnerability and authenticity, and being willing to share some of my alchemy practices and my feelings and my stories and beliefs and opinions, thoughts, just, yeah, all around experiences. That it's been a total form of alchemy, and it's been, in a way, like the blackening, where we kind of, that's Nigredo, that's the first step of alchemy. There's 4 steps, and they all have to do with a different color. And yeah, the first is black, and I think, I'm not exactly sure, but this is this is what I'm thinking. Then there's like Re-veiws, which is the reddening, and then I believe there's the gold, and then the white, where I could have those mixed up though. But yeah, the blackening is all about confession, and it's about like airing out and exposing and showing like the world our dirty laundry and our baggage and our stuff and everything. And that's like a part of the healing process, is being willing to bring that forth and through, and yeah, in a transparent way. And so that's what I've been choosing and allowing to unfold through me. And it's been super healing and magical, and just like really actually enjoyable. When I first got started, it was, yeah, I kind of had some patterns of resistance where it was hard for me. It felt like really difficult for me to show up and keep speaking and sharing and working with it, and allowing it, and allowing myself to show up as I am, because my old beliefs about how I needed to be, seem, appear, or look, or feel in order to do that. But I've realized, and realizing that it's just like as it is, and as it will be, and all it is, through all it is, in all ways, and like getting that on deeper levels and multi-dimensional levels, and in and through this play practice of like this part of my alchemy, which is sharing, communicating, expressing, with that vulnerability, through like all my ways, and really uncovering and recovering, yeah, discovering all that I am, and sharing that, being willing to own it, and just like, yeah, just sharing with others and with the public, or with, yeah, the outer, like what I've what I have to bring forth from the inner and the inner plane. So like that's been such a great offering for me to be able to give and to receive for myself. And yeah, I've learned a lot through this process, and freeing myself to be able to do that, or to show up for that and be that, like what I really needed for me, and letting go perfect in so many ways. Like I don't need to be perfect in order to share the wisdom that I've received, or that I'm learning, or that I have and I hold and I carry within me. And because it is my gift to give, and in only the ways that I can give. And so that's very humbling to me too, like where it is such a gift for me, for myself, for my soul, but for all I am and all we are to contribute to the whole. And so super, super grateful for that, like to just show up as I am, not have to make myself be any certain way to be received, or to feel like received in the ways that I want to be received. And yeah, I'm still working with those things too as well. And like, although we all want to be received like as we are, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to be, because we think we have to hide certain things from ourselves, and hide certain things from others so they don't see like what we're ashamed of, or what we have been taught to judge and condemn. And yeah, because we've set up traps for ourselves in our mind, in the labyrinth, in the maze, and like, yeah, fighting our own monsters, and the old monsters, you know, of the mind. And kind of, yeah, like seeing ourselves as that monster too, you know, where we might feel we need to protect ourselves from being seen as that monster, or playing at being that monster, or yeah, believing that we are that monster and that's all we are sometimes. So we want to project it onto someone else or something else. And although, like, yeah, there are a lot of monstrous things and monstrous like behaviors and actions, yeah, and those types of things that create such pain and suffering, and we cycle through that again and again, because of the avoidance of facing that monster, you know, sometimes, and also claiming our own power to change and embrace that monster, or slay that monster, so that we can be free of our past and our suffering, you know. So yeah, I've learned a lot in those ways, in and through those ways. And I made like 13 huge soul story collage boards in January, at the beginning of the year. I just like felt so like, I don't know, there was a fire under my butt, and I was just like feeling like, just need to create this, just yeah. And it was just funny how it all like just, yeah, flowed out of me. And now looking back at that, like I'm looking at all the images and all of the parts of the whole together, and seeing so many things that relate to this year in it, and like the alchemy practices, my personal practices, and through my personal relationships, and the archetypes that have played in and out and through all of these things and roles and stories and myths, how it all relates and how it corresponds to like the healing and the awakening, and what is and what's been and what will be, and just a lot of reflections, and like some of those projections and those wounds and those patterns, and yeah, through these stories and mythological themes and things. And one board that I made in particular, yeah, it was like full of like scenes of the Minotaur and like the labyrinth and the maze and all of that. And I would like to do a video soon to share some of those images with you. And I just think it's really just uncanny and mysterious how like certain things have played out. And I have a board over here in the corner that has a wheel in the center. It's the wheel, the eightfold wheel of like Buddhism symbol, and it's in the center of the board, and it's just like, wow. Like today I was looking at it and I was like, go ahead and take the wheel. You know, yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, like the images on this board, and it's just like blowing me away. There's a picture of like circles and cycles, and there's a picture of Jung on it, and there's a picture of like burning, like clearing, cleansing, purifying, that kind of stuff, and like sacred symbolism, like from religious art, like divine feminine with the halos, and there's also a big picture of like the lungs clearing all this grief and everything, and like through the breath, and recentering through the breath, and paying attention to those things, and like consciously like breathing and participating and receiving and letting go and exchanging and being in that flow. And it's just whoa. And yeah, I would like to, I'll share like maybe a very, very short 5-minute video just with the images, and I'll put it in the comments section just if anyone's interested in viewing or looking into those images, and and seeing what they can see about it. But I just think it's just so funny, like just all the ways that all of this is available, and like it just wants our participation and our attention, like in certain ways. So if we're willing to open up to that and explore that, and know that we're creative, and that like this is a creative process, and it's just a way for us to play and play with God, and for God to play and for us to play, and get to know ourselves and remember who we are. So yeah, it's just been such a fun like thing, even though like sometimes we don't always understand what's being created as we're creating. Like it's amazing and perfect for what we're here to be and learn and choose, and like the work we're here to do and all of that. So it's just freaking joy, like joyful, all of it, when I can realize and see and receive and be receptive to all of those things, and to all that's being offered, and all that's being given, and all that's available to receive. And hi babes, looking at what receptivity and trust and faith, and like letting go of old beliefs and lenses that I've used to view me, others, the world, my place, their place, our place, in it, expectations and resentments and ideals, and just preconceived notions about everything, and like being able to get into that space where I can surrender that, because man, that's like sometimes challenging task, because we're so in our minds a lot of the time, like in that maze, and fighting our own monsters, or trying to avoid those monsters, or hiding from those monsters, or hiding from ourselves, and playing small, and hiding who we are, like because we feel like, oh, nobody can see that about me, because we're so afraid of being judged and condemned, because we've judged and condemned ourselves so many times, and judged and condemned others, and because we've learned that it's been conditioned, programmed, and just generational kind of patterns and themes, and control mechanisms, to kind of keep us in a lower consciousness and a lower awareness, a lower form of awareness, so that we're easier to control or influence or hijack and all of that. And so it's interesting to be able to see through some of these things, or to have them penetrate like these layers of mind where we've kept ourselves deaf, dumb, and blind. And it reminds me of a story too. Like this weekend I got to spend some time with my niece that I adore. She's 7 years old, and she's just so innocent and cute, and just, of course, like, I have my own biases, but because I love her and she's dear to me. But yeah, like, it's just so funny, like how I love just being with her, and I love just being, you know, playing with her, because I love to play, and just being with kids. I love kids, and like, yeah, I'm a kid at heart, and I always have been. I'm a magical child, and so I just really love spending time with that, you know, with her, and like the childlike, or the child inside. So here's the child. Yeah, the child that holds all things, and so many things, and the unself-consciousness, and the full, and the love, and the like truth that we are. But you know how we like to play make-believe things, or like play games and stuff, and we make up our own games, and we make up our own songs when we're kids, and like we're just like creative, and we don't have like that, like, oh, it's not going to be good enough or whatever. It's just like we're doing it because it's play and it's joy, and it's just like our creative gifts and our creativity and our ability to play and all of that, and just to be like, where it doesn't have to be anything, but it just gets to be, and be expressed, and be received, and yeah, all of that, and through play. So we were playing a game that she made up last night, and we had a couple balloons and stuff, and she was asking, hey, can we hide the balloons in different places and then take turns finding them? And I was like, sure, we can do that. That sounds fun. Let's do that. Hide and seek with balloons. And so, like, the hide and seek part, like, yeah, we hide from ourselves and we seek ourselves, and God hides and we seek God, and then we find each other, and we find ourselves, and it's just so funny. Like, yeah, I love that metaphor. Like, we're playing hide and seek with God, and we're playing hide and seek with ourselves. And there was just a little funny moment that we had last night that was hilarious to me, and it was like showing me certain things about, like, oh, we're just so freaking funny. So it was my turn, and I think we had hidden the balloons in different places a couple of different times in the same room, so we were kind of like running out of like hiding spots. And it was just kind of funny where it was my turn to hide stuff, so she left the room, and I put like the 5 balloons in different places, and there was 1 balloon left. She had found all of them, except for there was 1 balloon. So we were doing the warmer, colder thing. Warmer, warmer, warmer. Oh, colder, you're getting cold, or warmer, you're getting warmer. And it was so funny where she finally got to the place where I thought that I had hid this balloon, but it wasn't there. And I was like, what? That is the weirdest thing. Where did it go? Like, that is the strangest thing. And I realized, oh my gosh, I did such a great job hiding it. I hid it from myself, and I confused myself. But it was like in a totally unexpected place that I had forgotten that I had hid this 1 balloon, and then we finally found it. And we were just laughing about it because it was so strange, and there was only so many places it could be, but sure enough, like the last place that we looked, there it was. And it was like, we didn't expect it to be there. It's so funny. It was actually, there was one behind the door, and it was small, so it didn't look like there was anything behind the door, which I think the door is a good metaphor too. But yeah, we just looked behind it, and yeah, to see, and there it was. But as we were looking and laughing at ourselves, laughing at me for doing too good of a job hiding it, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tricksy. I'm so tricksy. I was trying to be so sneaky. I was a sneaky ninja, and I hid it from myself. Yeah. And I was realizing, oh, there were certain things that I was so sneaky about that I hid from myself, because I didn't, yeah, maybe it was a part of a game that I was meant to play with myself to, yeah, to realize that. So it was pretty hilarious, and it just helped me see things in a certain way too, like we're so tricky and sneaky and tricksy with ourselves sometimes that we don't realize what we've hidden from ourselves and what we've been blind to, or what, like, yeah, what we still get to discover about and through being ourselves. So it's just kind of a fun little thing, little cosmic monkey at play kind of thing. And so it's just like, wow, we're pretty tricky and tricksy, and it's like the trickster. And yeah, the trickster. Coyote has had his share of lessons for me, and yeah, and the clown. So that's like one of my archetypes, the sacred clown. And so yeah, we fool ourselves, and it's okay, like, to fool ourselves, because we do it all the time. And so just looking at like our foolishness and our trickiness and our tricksiness and our dual nature, and just the lessons we have set up for ourselves sometimes, and just all that, like, and learning that through play, and just being open to receiving and to being as a child, and laughing at ourselves and enjoying ourselves, and not like having like some kind of expectation or standard that we have to live up to. We're just free, you know, free to be ourselves. And just like, yeah, seeing those things and those messages in new ways, and then through new levels of seeing and being, yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. So it's just joyful, and the joy of playing, and the joy of being together, and the joy of just letting things unfold, and enjoying the journey and the game, playing the game, and sometimes being played, and yeah, playing at being who we are, who we're not. So that's funny too. But yeah, I did learn a lot of little things that way, like in the most clever, funny ways, and yeah, through the child archetype, and through like just enjoying my own children, and enjoying my own child, and enjoying, yeah, the children that I get to nurture, including myself. And actually too, like, sometimes it's great to be able to see that inner child in others as well, like to understand that, you know, there's the wounded child there too, but there's also the magical child, and in need of nurturing, and like freedom and guidance and boundaries, and like protection, and all of that, you know, all those things, and patience and allowance, and yeah, just really being nurtured, but also like learning and teaching them. You know, they're learning and we're learning, and we get to teach us, and we get to learn ourselves as well, like how to be free, how to be that again, like who we are and who we need. And so can we allow each other, if we can, like see that inner child like at play, and that wounded child, and yeah, I feel like that would help us have a lot more compassion for each other. Excuse me, for where we are, where we've been, and for what's really being like asked, and for us to see. And we all have that wounded child aspect, and like that's one of our survival archetypes. And also like just calling in that magical child, or that innocent child, and that yeah, the nature child, because our nature, you know, is so pure and perfect, you know. And so yeah, calling in the child, and all aspects of the child, and for that love, nurturing, honoring, and being. And so one of the other fun things we got to do was paint. I have a little art studio downstairs now, which is really awesome. I've been doing paint pouring for like, yeah, the last, oh gosh, maybe it's been, it'll be 2 years in the springtime this next year, so it hasn't been quite 2 years yet, but I've enjoyed it so much, and I've had so much creative fun and joy come out of that, like choice just to show up for it and to like follow my inner artist's desires and needs to create and express and everything. And I've grown a lot through that, like sharing it with others, and also understanding that it doesn't have to be any certain way, and I don't have to have other people's approval or validation to know that it's like it's art, and like, and nobody needs to like it like either, like, and it's just like it gets to be what it gets to be. And like, yeah, there's a lot of pieces that come out like in just amazing ways where everybody loves it or is drawn to it, or you know, and then there's some pieces that are just like, okay, well, but then it speaks to someone and they're like, I love that one. And so it's just kind of funny how it's like different energies or different ways that we all see things, that we're drawn to certain things or repelled by certain things, or you know, all of that. But yeah, through the art and through sharing and through like learning it myself, or allowing myself to like just play with it, and then realizing how much fun it was, and then how excited I was about it, and just this new way of expressing myself and creating, playing with color, and like, yeah, just because it feels so good and it feels right. Was able to teach some classes last year at my mother-in-law's art studio, and that helped me show up in so many ways and get comfortable more in being myself, even though I'm really shy and I'm an introvert, yeah, for the most part. Like, yeah, sometimes being in groups wasn't always the easiest for me, because I would always absorb everything, like, and then I'd wonder, where do I fit in here? What would be pleasing? What do they need? And all of that. And so scattering myself in all sorts of different directions to be part of the group, and then realizing I get to just bring it all back in, you know, or center myself again, and like showing up in those ways, and taking on that role of like teacher, but like wanting to be supportive and enthusiastic, because that's just how I felt about it, and like wanting to share that, like how great and freeing it was for me with others. Like, just wanted it, just reminding them, invite the inner child to play, just see what your inner child wants to do. Like, this has been the most helpful thing for me, is just like to feel into it, to feel what colors, and not like to like decide first what it needed to be, or what it needed to be like, or what it needed to look like, and those types of things, and just kind of let it like unfold and emerge and like play through me, this creative energy. And so like that was like huge for me to like yeah, be able to do that through this medium. And it was fun to share it with others and see people like just having the most joyous fun through their own play, through their own ways, through their own creativity and their own inspiration and their own styles and unique ways of being. Yeah, so great. And watching everyone like go home with a smile on their face, and feeling inspired, and like, wow, what else is possible kind of things, and those things. But those were the huge gifts, the gifts that kept on giving. And I just wanted to move away from like kind of like taking an image and having to copy it and having it to look a certain way. And I knew abstracts too, like yeah, there was something in there for me to play with. And so I discovered that fluid paint like last year in the early spring, and was like, oh my gosh, whoever decided to like play around with this mixing medium, like, and add it to this kind of paint and do this with it, oh my god, they're a genius. Thank you for whoever did that, because this is like the best most fun thing in the world. Like, just play with it, just like. And I love like how, yeah, like discovering certain things and then that leads to other things, and it just branches off and it creates other things. But like my main intention was like to free myself and to create, and also to help like create some things to sell, to support a charity, and to raise funds for an organization that's connected to loved ones that are dear to me, to help them like with an art sale and stuff. And I just wanted to see what was possible to create, and the connections, and through art and all of that could be made. And like that was like my main intention, was like I want to create some things and see if I can contribute to this in like in my ways. And because sometimes I haven't really liked structure, or like I've resented like certain things being limited, like where it just has to be this way and it can't be that way or else it's wrong. Like you got to color in the lines and you got to do it my way and not your way, and those kinds of things, like kind of getting over and getting through that. And but what it ended up being was so much more, and it was the gift that kept on giving and giving and giving. And it was just like so cool to see how much it actually generated and regenerated and gave. And so showing up to these classes too, like, and taking on that role of teacher, which is totally out of my comfort zone, but like looking at like what my first class was like, and like how nervous I was, like to be like that center of attention, or to be like kind of kind of leading, like in that leadership role, or just kind of in that, like where I haven't been used to that and I've avoided that. Like it was a little uncomfortable at first, but I had like such beautiful people show up to my first class that I loved and adored. And like my voice was shaking when I started at first, but then like got into it, and it was like play, and and just seeing like what everybody needed, and just like kind of paying attention to like things that would come up like during those things, like insecurities or worries, or like old beliefs and old scripts and old stories, old patterns, self-sabotage or whatever. But like knowing that the help was there available, and there was support available, and that it was just a gift that I wanted to show up for, and that I got to show up for, and that I totally was open to receive and to share and to be. And that was so nourishing and good, just good all around for me. And every single time for like the next maybe like 5-10 times, I would be so nervous at the beginning of class, but as I kept doing it and showing up for it, it got easier and easier and easier. And then like by like last or this last spring, before there was the quarantine, the last class that I got to teach at the studio, like it was so different from when I had started teaching classes in September or October to I think what the last class was in March 8th, and how just easy and right, and just how I'd gotten through some of that, like anxiety, social anxiety and stuff, like, and just knowing that everything's available and it's right here, and if I just let go and I don't have to plan out what I'm going to say or script out what I'm going to say, just go with it and just be, and just offer and share, and receive me as I am, and allow me as I am, and like just letting go of all that other stuff, and just seeing myself grow in and through those ways of this art, and being an artist, or allowing that inner artist to play and to create, and also like just showing up through my ways. So that gave me so much, and then just been able to share that, like also like in the space of my home, with smaller classes, smaller groups, and intimate groups and things, and enjoyable because like people want to do it. And so, all right, like it's fun. And yeah, I get to choose that if I want to. Like, it's not like something I have to do, but I get to do it and I get to choose it and I get to offer it and I get to share it and I get to receive it and let it, yeah, be given. So that's the fun thing about it, where it's just expanded a lot of things and it's expanded connections and it's expanded me and my ways of being, and like kind of like really realizing and seeing into who I am and just becoming who I am. So art has been such a big blessing that way for me to receive and for me to allow for myself. And just, yeah, it's just, I love that regeneration and that regenerative gift and all the art and creating really means to me. And just such a great teacher to see like what kind of expectations I had on me. It was good reflection, and it's been the best teacher and the best like friend like to be able to, yeah, to grow through and go through this process. So, and then yeah, so we got to paint. Me and my niece got to paint together, and there was some old ways of believing or thinking about things that were coming up too, about, oh, what kind of a mess is this gonna make if I allow this, or you know, or maybe like she shouldn't be doing it like totally that way. But I didn't, you know, like I kept this, I was like I was just observing these things in my mind and like realizing, oh, why am I limiting like this creativity? Like there are certain things obviously where we need boundaries and we need to like, oh, don't fling the paint on the wall, honey, you know, kind of things. But like, let's keep it here and we can get it all messy here if we want to. And then like kind of seeing like how there is a need to control certain things, or yeah, for things to be a certain way, but like observing that and then like letting that go, or like seeing into it and seeing what I could reclaim, or what was asking to be reclaimed, or what was asking to be freed and received, offered, given, and all of that shared and allowed to be and allowed to unfold and emerge and everything. And so I was like, oh yeah, like just the inner child, and let's let the inner child be and play and explore and express and create and be free. And yeah, just remembering kind of like those things on different and deeper levels, like just because of that time we got to share and through our relationship and through our connection and through, yeah, just like the nurturing, yeah, that I have to give, and like just the nurturing to the nurturing soul that she is too. And then like what we are for each other, who we are for each other, and all those things, and the teacher that she is for me. I love that. And yeah, just magical child, magical me and we. And so I saw some of the control mechanisms at play, like or the old stories of, man, I don't know if I want her to waste that much paint. But then I was thinking, wait a second, like I have so much paint here and it's not going to waste. Like we're actually making a big mess to create. So why can't I just allow that, like, and not worry about, because I already have like all the mediums and the colors, the other paint to mix up more paint, like if I need to, and there's so much of it still like that's already mixed and ready, available to use right now. And I was just thinking, that's silly, like, whoa. Like, so it got me to see things in different ways, that I was like being like a little bit rigid or controlling, and like in my own mind, of course, not with her, but like, yeah, like these old ways or these old patterns, these old programs or these old scripts of like, oh, there's not enough. And I was like, yes, there is. There's so enough here. There's enough for like freaking 20 people to paint right now. You know? I'm like, let's just let her play with it and like use what's available. And so, yeah, because I had like old beliefs about like how much we shouldn't waste things, and like, you know, like, but like it's just kind of one of those things where we get to see for ourselves like how that's playing out, or how that's playing in, out, and through like certain things. And then like we were decorating Christmas ornaments, pouring paint over Christmas ornaments, and Yeah, there were certain ways I was a little disappointed last Christmas, with like how my ornaments were turning out, because they weren't like kind of really what I was expecting or what I wanted them to look like. So it was just kind of like, yeah, like what's the best way to do this kind of a thing, like so that it looks like. And then I was like, wait, why don't I just like play with it and see what wants to happen here? Oh yeah, like just it's about joy and it's about that play. And so I just started doing like just some weird stuff, and I was like, okay, we'll just do some weird colors that I never really like would do for ornaments. And it was just like, as soon as it started like coming out, because it was loud, and it was just the most fun thing and joyous thing, and we were just both laughing, and she was just amazed, like, oh, how is that even happening? How are you even doing that? How is that even being made right now? And I was like, I just don't even know. It's just fun, and it's played. It's just like letting it go and letting it be, and just being like being played through, like being just being and playing and allowing that to come through. And then when she started on her things, like we had some new ideas that we never had before, like of how to do these things, and they turned out so freaking cool and so pretty and magical, like. And she was like amazed with herself, like she was like doing the same thing. How am I even doing this? How am I even making this? How is this even happening right now? And just like being in that like moment of like just joy and just that like just authentic expression of that joy and that like creative, you know, energy. So it was super fun and super good medicine for me and for her, and so for we. And like we ended up probably, yeah, over the weekend making the whole like batch of these clear ornaments that I had bought last year. And I was glad, like, hey, we have these to use, and we have all this paint, and we have this time to play together, and just how it got to be. And so just wanted to share like those things, how we can learn so much through art and play and through creativity and through expressing ourselves in authentic ways. And yeah, even and embracing the mess. And because that was one of my mantras in the beginning of my alchemy practice, was embrace the mess. Say yes to the yes and yes to the mess and all that's in between. And like really knowing that that was the truth and the wisdom, the divine wisdom coming through, but not knowing like exactly how to fully do that or choose that or allow that, like allowing the mess. And so like I'm getting more and deeper levels and layers of that, like in that process of creation and destruction, allowing it to be messy and get messy, and allowing, yeah, the mess to be, and it's okay, and we just get to work with it and play with it, and also like attend to it, and then clean it up when we're done with, and not let that prevent us from getting dirty and yeah, all that. So yeah, good lessons in alchemy, and good reminders, and yeah, just a lot of good things that I got to receive and I got to share, and we got to play with and free to allow our creativity and our authenticity and our own expression of being. And so yeah, that's awesome. And just inviting that child, being with that child, allowing that child, holding that child, supporting that child, being our own parents, and our own love, and our own home, and our own sanctuary, and our own blessing, and letting us be as we are, and explore as we are, and like get in and get messy and get dirty and have fun and enjoy the ride. And so like, yeah, special time with our special little ones. Like what, I mean, could be more loving, joyful, and the most beautiful gift that we do have, like, yeah, to be for each other and to be for ourselves. And so, yeah, so I wanted to offer and express that. And yeah, reclaiming that innocence and that inner child that has so much to give, and allowing her to be, you know, in and through so many ways, in all her ways, through all of her ways, through all of our ways, through all of life's ways. And that's where the magic happens. If we can allow it, and we can respond, and we can engage. So, yay. Yay to play. And thank you, like, yeah, to the children and the inner child who teaches me so much and holds so much for me. And yeah, such a gift to love and to nurture and to praise and to bless, and yeah, to teach too, and to learn with along, yeah, with and through. So I wanted to share, yeah, those things. That was potent, and that was potent play, and it was joyful, and that's like, and engaged, and that's like what I've been, one of my focus like points lately is that joy, expressing that joy, appreciating that joy, inviting that joy, being that joy, receiving and expressing, yeah, playing through that joy. And because it is so joyful, that's who we are. We're joyful, and creation is joyful, and it's so joyful to be alive. And it doesn't have to be serious like all the time. Sometimes there's a time to be serious and sober and focused with like something that is serious. But a lot of the time we can get way too serious or have unwavering seriousness that blocks us from our true creativity and our true abilities. So that's what I wanted to say. And so I have some things written down here. Share about art and play, creativity, letting go of expectations, being pleasing or being pleased, and letting go of control. And then breaking apart. Oh, breaking apart and dissolving old things, and cutting away those things that no longer serve us, falling apart, and relationships changing and breaking apart, and going through certain metaphorical deaths, and so that new life can be born, and all of that. And I'd like to continue with some of that through my next sharing, because I know there's going to be a lot of gold in that. Falling apart, are things falling apart? Are they actually falling into place for us? Like, I know it's very hard when the tower collapses and it seems like we're hitting rock bottom, and we're, yeah, maybe dying inside, or there's parts of us dying, or that like feel like they're dying when we're experiencing what we perceive as loss, or yeah, like with some of these like brutal changes sometimes that we need to go through, that can bring us a lot of pain, or can actually awaken us to our pain that we've been avoiding. And yeah, it is, yeah, a rude awakening sometimes, and I have compassion for that. And can we allow that for each other? Like sometimes we want to smooth it all over and make it all right, but sometimes it's okay to let it like unfold and unwind and teach us what we need to know, and where we get to grow, and where we get to show up for ourselves, and where we can be there for ourselves, where we've abandoned ourselves, where we haven't been true to ourselves, where we haven't owned our power, where we haven't owned our gifts, where we haven't owned our strengths or our weaknesses or our bullshit. Like, and it can show us all of that, like when the tower collapses and we get to build something back up from the ground and from a new foundation that will support, like, yeah, that true structure that can be born, that wants to be expressed and born through us, you know. So there's a lot more into that, a lot more about that a lot more around that, like that I would like to share and express. Yeah, that's a huge part of creation, is that destruction of the old, or that dying, like the life, death, life cycles, and allowing things to be let go of. And so the harder we cling to things, the more painful it can be. But it's okay, like we learn through our own ways, and pain is a good teacher, but like, joy is a good teacher as well. And can we allow our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys to teach us, and not be so attached to making things comfortable or safe or predictable, or what we've seen as stable, where it really doesn't contribute like to our growth in a lot of ways. It just keeps us stuck or blocked or in resistance to change and things. And I know that's a little bit vague, but I'm sure that it can resonate, and it resonates through like all of our ways. And so allowing the falling away of old ways. Yeah. Can we allow that? Like, can we let go and surrender like the old? And can we acknowledge the loss, and can we acknowledge the grief, and what can we release and feel thankful for? And where can we show up for ourselves as we're grieving, as we're going through our dark night of the soul, as we're going through like this part, or certain phases of our own journey, and discovery and awakening and grieving and letting go. And so like being with that inner child, and mothering and nurturing our inner child that needs us, and that is asking for us, and asking for that inclusion and acknowledgement and allowance to express and to be as they are. And to be supported, and to to receive that guidance, and just that like loving support, and like parenting, and transparency. So I feel like complete with that, and the expression of all that. And so thanks for letting me share, and thanks for listening. What are we now dying? What's now dying in our lives, or what are we dying to? How can we acknowledge that and honor that process? How can we be the full and like honor ourselves as we're going through that? And how can we make the space for that to be, and nurture ourselves as we are, and as we'll be, and as we go through that process, and as we grieve, and as like we change, and as we transform and transmute these old wounds and these old ways of being that no longer serve that no longer serve the whole, and no longer serve our integrity, even though it's uncomfortable, and it doesn't feel good, and it's scary, and it's just unknown, and it's sometimes we're very lost, confused, and afraid. How can we show up for ourselves and each other, like through this time of changes, endings, new beginnings, and awakenings, and initiations into new levels and new phases of being, becoming, and being a part of the whole, while also being a whole part, like within that whole. And how can we show up for ourselves, in those nurturing, kind, loving ways, where we would show up for our own children, or the children, or the those that we love? Can we show up for ourselves in that way, and hold ourselves as we change, and as we grieve, and as we heal? So let's look at those things, and let's ask for help, and so we can see what we need to see, and so we can be who we need to be for our well-being, for our true, whole well-being, for who we really are, for who we really need, who we really get to be, and who are being asked to show up for, like, our fullness and our wholeness and our wellness and our truth and our soul. Like, yeah, all we are. So, yeah. Well wishes and goodwill and love to all. Happy new moon, happy planting, happy seeding, happy dreaming, happy harvest, happy releasing, and, like, yeah, joyful play, creativity, being in the world but not of it, participating joyfully in the sorrows of the world, acknowledging that life is sorrowful, life is fragile, life is beautiful, life is precious, and there is suffering, yeah, and allowing and acknowledging that suffering, and, like, also that compassion, that desire to relieve that suffering, but, like, yeah, let's allow it, like, to show us what we really need and who we can be. All right. Take care of yourselves, be love for yourselves. All is held in the well, so be well. Love yourself.